He sat beside me every day. In class, at lunch, even on the bus ride home. He was the one person I thought I could trust. I told him things I'd never said out loud before. My fears, my dreams, the fights I had with my parents. He nodded, he smiled, he promised. Your secrets are safe with me. But they weren't. One evening, I came home to find my parents sitting at the table waiting. My mother's face was cold, my father's eyes sharp. So, Dad said slowly, you've been hiding things from us. I froze. The words they threw at me next, the exact phrases I had whispered to my friend, hit me like knives. Every secret I had trusted him with was suddenly laid bare, twisted, weaponized against me. I felt my chest tighten, my mouth go dry. In that moment, I realized he wasn't a friend at all. He was a spy. A liar. A fake. And worst of all, he had been sitting right beside me the whole time. The next day at school, I sat beside him like always. He smiled at me, wide and innocent, like nothing had happened. Rough night? He asked, sliding his notebook across the desk. My chest tightened. How could he act so normal when he had poisoned my home with my own words? Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video. I wanted to scream at him. To ask why. But his calm, steady eyes made me hesitate. And then he leaned closer and whispered, don't worry. I only told them because I care. Parents should know what their kids are hiding. The ground beneath me felt like it gave way. He wasn't just a traitor, he thought he was right. That afternoon, my mother showed up outside the school gates. She never did that before. She stood with crossed arms, her eyes scanning me like I was a criminal. And standing beside her, smirking, was him. My so-called friend. On the way home, Mom lectured me about things only he could have told her. Things I had whispered in confidence. You think you're grown enough to hide secrets from us? She snapped. Don't forget, we'll always find out. When I glanced at him, walking a few steps behind, he winked. That night I lay awake staring at the ceiling. Every secret I had trusted him with played in my head like a film reel. Every fight, every fear, every mistake. He held them all in his hands, ready to drop them into my parents' ears whenever it amused him. The next week was worse. He started dropping hints in class, phrases that only I would recognize. You know, people shouldn't keep money hidden in books, he said loudly while the teacher was writing on the board. My stomach turned cold. That was mine. I had told him where I kept my savings. By the time I got home, the money was gone. Mom had it in her hand, counting. You think you can hoard this behind our backs? She asked. And there he was again, sitting at the table, eating dinner like he belonged to my family more than I did. Day after day it grew worse. I couldn't breathe without wondering if my words would be turned into weapons. Every secret I'd shared, every weakness was his tool now. But something else happened too. With every betrayal, with every secret twisted and stolen, I stopped feeling weak. The fear hardened into something sharper. Stronger. I realized something he hadn't yet. A fake friend can only hurt you if you keep playing their game. And I was done playing. The game didn't end, it grew crueler. Every day he found new ways to remind me that my life was no longer my own. He didn't even have to hide it anymore. He would lean back in his chair during class, smirk at me and whisper under his breath, "Wonder what your mom will say tonight." I stopped sleeping. Every word I said felt dangerous. Every thought I shared could be turned against me by dinner. My home, once the only place I could breathe, had become a courtroom where I was always guilty, and my parents already had the evidence, hand-delivered by him. I started testing him. Small things at first. I'd tell him I was sick when I wasn't just to see what would happen. By evening, my mother was pressing her hand to my forehead, demanding, "Why didn't you tell us you're ill?" I'd tell him I failed a test when I hadn't, and the next day my father would slap my homework on the table, sneering, "You think we won't find out about your grades?" He didn't even wait anymore. He enjoyed the cycle. He fed on it. The more I squirmed, the more powerful he felt. One afternoon, I saw him in the yard talking to my parents without me. His hands moved animatedly, his smile wide. They were nodding, laughing with him. My father even clapped him on the shoulder. My stomach dropped. He wasn't just my betrayer, he was becoming their ally, their perfect child. Everything I could never be. By then I stopped telling him anything real. But that only made him hungrier. He started asking questions that sounded innocent, but his eyes gave him away. So, what's been bothering you lately? Do you ever feel like running away? What's the worst thing you've done that they don't know? His voice was gentle, careful, but I could see it. He wasn't listening as a friend. He was collecting. The breaking point came on a Wednesday night. I walked into the living room and froze. My parents were holding a letter, my letter. The one I had written to myself weeks ago, late at night, when the walls felt like they were closing in. It wasn't meant for anyone else. It was just me spilling my heart on paper, writing that I wished I could escape, that sometimes I felt invisible, that I was tired of being the failure. And now my father was waving it in my face. So this is how you feel about us? You want to leave? You think you're invisible? Who told you to write this garbage? My heart stopped. I knew immediately how they had found it. I had left the letter folded inside a notebook in my bag. And the only person who could have taken it out was him. I turned my head toward the window, and there he was standing in the yard watching through the glass. When our eyes met, he didn't flinch. He didn't look sorry. He smiled. A slow, knowing smile that sent chills down my spine. That night, lying in bed, I realized something that made my hands shake. He wasn't just betraying me for fun anymore. He was trying to erase me, to take my place. He had my parents' trust, my secrets, my life in his grip. But he had one weakness. He believed I was still his puppet. He thought I would keep feeding him pieces of myself. He thought I was still afraid. And that was the last mistake he would make. The trap I set didn't take long to spring. By the next afternoon, I could see the eagerness in his eyes, the restless twitch of his leg as he sat beside me. He was hungry for my words, desperate for another secret to carry home. I leaned in during class, lowering my voice just enough to make him lean closer. There's something I've been hiding, I whispered. Something that would destroy me if my parents ever found out. I let my eyes water slightly, my voice shake so it felt real. He didn't hesitate. Tell me, he whispered back, the corners of his lips twitching with excitement. I shook my head. No. I can't. It's too dangerous. The hesitation was bait. I knew him well enough by now. He couldn't stand not knowing. He thrived on the power of information. So I left the lie where he could find it. A folded note in my bag, just sticking out enough to tempt his curious fingers. That evening when I returned home, the storm was already waiting. My parents sat stiffly at the table, the note unfolded between them. My father's face was red, his jaw tight. My mother's eyes were sharp with suspicion. Explain this, my father demanded. I pretended to hesitate, glancing at the note. Where did you get that? Neither answered. They didn't have to. Because the front door opened right then, and in he walked my so-called friend, smiling like a hero about to deliver justice. I told you, he said smugly. I told you she was hiding things. I warned you she couldn't be trusted. But something was different this time. My parents weren't smiling at him. My father's hand tightened on the note, his knuckles white. My mother's lips trembled. Because what he didn't know was that the back of the note contained more lines I had carefully written, in my own handwriting, but built entirely from his betrayals. Dates, times, the exact moments he had carried my secrets to them. The proof of his manipulation. They had read it. They had finally seen the pattern. My father stood slowly, the chair scraping harshly across the floor. We believed you, he said, his voice low and dangerous. We let you into our home, we listened to you more than our own child. And all this time you were the liar. His grin faltered. No, it's not like that, My mother cut him off, her voice trembling with fury. You twisted her words, poisoned our trust, made us doubt our own blood. What kind of friend does that? What kind of person are you? Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video. He stammered, glancing between us, searching for the fear that had always been in my eyes. But this time I didn't flinch. I stepped forward, my voice steady, my chest rising with a strength I didn't know I had. You sat beside me every day, I said. You smiled, you nodded, you promised. And then you stabbed me with my own secrets. You thought you made me weak. But all you did was show me how strong I could be without you. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. She's lying. He tried one last time, desperate. You can't believe her. But my father's voice thundered like a gavel. Enough. Get out. He froze, pale, his lips trembling. But, out. The word shook the walls. And for the first time he realized he had lost. He turned, shoulders hunched, and walked out the door. His footsteps echoed down the street, fading until they were gone. The silence that followed was unbearable. My parents sat back down, the folder of proof still on the table. For the first time in months they looked at me not with suspicion but with shame. My mother's voice cracked. We should have believed you. I didn't answer. Because trust wasn't something repaired with words. It had to be rebuilt piece by piece. That night I sat by my window, the cold air brushing my face. For the first time I wasn't watching for his shadow. He was gone. The spy, the betrayer, the fake friend who had lived off my pain, gone. But his lesson remained. I learned that betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it comes from the person sitting right beside you. Smiling. Nodding. Listening. And I learned that even when someone tries to turn you invisible, you can step into the light and burn their lies away. Because in the end he didn't erase me. He erased himself.